back again.
We're back again.
What is that? What is that Backstreet Boys line? Here we are. I'm back again.
Right? Doug is back.
This will make more sense.
Yeah, I have a full story for everyone. We're gonna have presentations. There'll be a little insert.
It'll be a fun thing.
But anyways, who's here, Jessica?
Doug Leferovich is here for the second time this week.
You know what I like more than anything else is answering the same questions for a second time. That's what I love.
In the same order.
Oh my god! I was like, oh my god.
Talking about yourself. This is the show to be on.
I mean, truly.
You know what? We tell people, we like to tell people, like, this isn't our show, it's your show.
And we really wanted to solidify that for you.
We are just gonna, like, just beat that dead horse. Like,
If I come back one more time, I'm getting my own microphone.
Honestly, give it a shot. Give it a chance.
I love you so much.
I'm good with it. I'm good. Spicy. Spicy.
Jesus. Oh, so, okay. So what had happened was... Doug came last week. We had a full interview. Everything was great. I get in my car and I listen to it. And like 30 seconds in, our microphone stopped working. And I was like, you know what? I can use the audio. I'll continue. And then the microphones did not work.
A few days later, I'm in the middle of the busiest day.
Gosh.
I'm in the middle of the busiest day at my job. Reckless in Vegas, my favorite Vegas show, was at Vic's. That's mom and dad. That is family. It is mom and dad. It's mom and dad. We call her mother, so he's our new daddy. Anyway, so it's like the busiest night of the week. And I get a text from Callie going, I got bad news. And I'm like, nope, you're going to have to email Doug yourself. I'm way too fucking busy right now.
I mean,
so here we are.
It was a lot of fun. I'm so glad it happened. I just, oh God.
So we're in the middle of Vegas Madness.
We're in the middle of
Vegas Madness. And every competition has an MVP. And I'm assuming that, like, going on in the men's bracket right now, somebody from Duke is probably going to win that MVP. But here, it is going to be...
flag.
Yes, actually, yes, that's who I heard.
For me, Cooper Flag. The Great White Hope.
100%.
Bringing whites back to basketball.
100%. Actually, yes, that's what I keep hearing on the ESPN app. But anyway, so Doug Leferovich is here. He won our MVP this year.
Yes. So right here, I'll put a video of him accepting the award. He was very excited.
Yes. Last year, it went to Paige Strafella.
Yes, it did.
About 6 months ago, we decided that Doug was going to win it before anything. Before we decided anything else for Vegas Madness. 6 months ago, Callie and I looked at each other and we were like, hey, Doug's going to win MVP this year, right? And we were like, fuck yeah, he's going to win.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So
I have that award on my front table, so it's in a nice prominent place.
Nice.
We love you for that.
We love you. And the reason why we gave you the award is because, you're amazing, duh. But you've always been so supportive of us. You've always been, like, you made our logo, and you're doing this a second time.
If you can find it on our reality, you can't really see this, but on our reality check Bev naps.
Yeah.
We have reality check Bev naps with the logo that Doug designed for us.
And we have so many fun things coming up because of the logo. And honestly,
so cool.
You've been so supportive of the show. We love you, and you've always just been willing to help us whenever, especially doing interviews.
No, I remember one time you were on maternity leave, and like, so I had different people like co-host with me, and Doug was co-hosting with me one time, and he texts me and he goes, what do you want to talk about? And I was like, dude, I want to talk about Jamie Lynn Spears. So then this man looks up Jamie Lynn's book, and he starts prepared. He starts looking up fucking excerpts from it, and he's like,
I figured if I talked about Britney Spears, I would be safe.
And you were.
I asked one question and I didn't say anything for 20 minutes.
It was so funny. So I'm sitting at PT's having an old fashioned, and Doug's texting me with like, what about this? What about this? From the book. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah. So blah, 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 blah. And we had a whole conversation. So like, Doug's been part of this like reality check family for a very long time.
Well, as I like to tell people too, I think, if you have the opportunity to...
Listen, it's a ghost. It's okay.
If you have the opportunity to interview a big star, I think that would be great for your guys' page.
Yeah.
But what's also great is that you guys take time to interview smaller shows, like my show, Late Night Magic, where you guys have always been so supportive. And getting the word out about smaller shows really means a lot. So we really appreciate, from the entertainment point of, the entertainment community in Vegas, that you guys support local talent. So we really appreciate that.
I mean, that's kind of like what Vegas Madness has kind of always been about. We do, like, it's kind of like Oprah's favorite things. It's like Jessica and Callie's favorite things. And like Late Night Magic has always been a part of like sorry hams, but like Late Night Magic. Late Night Magic is like, oh, I found my Late Night Magic shirt the other day. Fuck, I meant to wear that. I was clean. I was like going through my clothes because I was like, what brings me joy? And I found that shirt.
You know, there are so many magic shows in town, from big names like David Copperfield to Chris Angel to David Blaine to Matt Franco and Shin Lim, who both won America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
So the fact that you guys can shine a spotlight on a smaller show like mine and get the word out really, really helps us. So that means a lot.
Yeah, and
like Matt Franco doesn't need our help. You know what I mean?
No,
I love Matt Franco. He's such a cool dude. I've been drunk with him a couple of times, but like honestly, like he doesn't need our help. He's got a big old fucking banner. Like I walk by his face every day when I'm leaving work. They don't need our help. Yeah. But like, you know, shows like Late Night Magic have always been near and dear. And honestly, in the last like 5 years or so, I've seen Matt Franco like twice. I think I've seen Late Night Magic like 100 times.
And I think that's what's so like that's what we really want to try to bring to is just like we want to showcase the smaller shows because like of course we would love a Carlos Mencia on the show. We would love anybody. You know, Wayne Newton, my man.
Sure.
But like, and it would obviously get us numbers, but I think it's so much more important to help out these smaller shows just because it's like, you guys keep this town running. You're the fun shows people run into.
Absolutely. And you know, promoting a show like Late Night Magic, if it sells 5 more tickets, that's actually a lot for us.
Yeah.
That's a big difference as opposed to if you guys had Bruno Mars on, it would be amazing. Yeah. But if he sells 3,500 tickets, if he sells 3,505 tickets, it's not moving the needle as much as for a smaller show like ours. 5 more tickets or locals hearing about the show means a lot.
Well, Jessica, how many people have you recommended to go to the show?
Okay, so funny story. So a couple of crazy stories. So one time I was going to see Crystal was coming in town, and we were going to see Mike Hammer. And while I was waiting for Crystal, I was at Whiskey Liquor Up, which is like a tradition we have, and I was just getting hammered at that bar, and no pun intended actually, but I was getting completely hammered at that bar. There was some people that were like next to me and they were super nice, and I was like, they were like, oh, do you live here? And I go, yeah, I'm just gonna go to Mike Hammer tonight. Have you guys ever seen Mike Hammer? And they were like, no. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys should totally go. And like there was just a couple, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, then they tell me like, oh, we're definitely gonna go, right? Turns out there was 20 of them, and they ended up buying tickets. So it was like I got tickets for me and Crystal and Andrew, but then
you got 20
more people ended up buying tickets.
Yeah.
So you know that kind of thing.
And 20 people in that little place that fills it up.
That was a lot, right?
So then fill it up.
So then, okay. So for Late Night Magic, right? Like a few weeks ago, I was working at Jimmy Kimmel's, and of course, like I always post videos from Jimmy Kimmel's and do my bartender content.
Yeah.
So doing that is how Greg came in to Kimmel's. Like Greg Dow, he came in, and he was like, "Hey, I saw he was wearing his Late Night Magic shirt." He always wears his. Like everywhere he goes, I see he represents the. I still need to get one of those Late Night Magic shirts because I still have an old one. But anyway, so Greg comes in. And he goes, I saw you were working, so I thought I'd come in. And I was like, awesome. And it was like the week that like Late Night Magic had like their last show. So then I had like these people at my bar. And so I start, talking to Greg, and I'm just kind of like, asking him questions about like Late Night Magic and different things like that. And so then he leaves to go to some concert across the street at Brooklyn Bowl. So then I go back to the bar, and they were like, the guests at my bar were, they were in town for something. And I go, so where are you guys staying? And they go, oh, we're staying at the Orleans. And I'm like, oh, do you know where you should go tomorrow fucking night? Do you know? And they were like, where? And I'm like, listen, you don't even have to leave your hotel room or your hotel. You don't have to go anywhere. Late Night Magic is having their final show at the venue in your hotel So you
there.
like,
Go
I
on.
don't know what's gonna happen. I won't be able to make it, but man,
Yeah.
it starts at 9:00. You should fucking go.
Yeah.
Like, here's the details. Wrote down on a napkin. Gave it to him. I was like, you guys should absolutely go. I don't know if they went. I'm sure they did because I was very enthusiastic about it. And I told them, I was like, when you guys meet the cast afterwards, just tell them that I sent you. Like,
Yeah.
just, it's fine. It's fine.
I feel like back in the day before, the internet or the advent of the internet, a lot of times I would hear when tourists would come to town, they would talk to a cab driver and they would think, oh, well, you probably know.
Yeah, you drop
what
people
should we
off.
see?
Yeah.
And they would recommend something.
Yeah.
So I think as a unofficial concierge,
Yeah.
when you talk to a bartender at a venue, especially at the Link, Center Strip, if they say to you, you should go see this show, I think that has a lot of weight and a lot of value because you've seen so much entertainment. You know the good and the bad. So you recommending something is really giving the stamp of approval from a local, and locals know.
Yeah. And I think also a lot of the influencers kind of like, they kind of, I don't want to say they ruin it because they do shine a light on a lot of things, but obviously they end up being bought. So you don't know if the review is real, if you really enjoyed it. And that's the one thing about our show. We're not bought. Woo!
Could be.
It could be. Right. Link in bio. All right. So just kind of getting in, we're going to get into your younger years. So I know you grew up in New York and your dad really influenced you with magic and stuff.
Absolutely. So when I was 4, I did my first show for my pre-kindergarten class.
That's so cute.
So growing up, my mom stopped working to raise my brother and I. My dad was a lawyer in New York City, so he spent a lot of time working long hours. So my mom said to my dad, you need to figure out something to do with the boys, a fun activity that's something you can bond with.
Yeah.
And when my dad was younger, he went to a YMCA camp, and one of the counselors did a couple of tricks. Wasn't a magician, but did a couple of tricks.
Just like something fun for the kids.
So my dad thought, oh, this might be something fun to do with the kids, and there was a very famous magic store only like 5 blocks away from his office.
Ooh.
I always say, as I got older, being a lawyer, being a magician, same thing. A lot of lies, a lot of trickery,
a lot of
deceit.
manipulation.
So when we started, it was something we did as a family. It wasn't something that was necessarily set out to be a career.
Yeah.
So it was, my grandmother's having a birthday. The 3 of us are going to do a family show.
Yeah.
A bunch of families coming over for Christmas. We're going to do a show.
Yeah.
And then one day, our neighbors across the street to my mother said to my mother, oh, what are the boys up to? What are they doing? Oh, they're playing sports, doing this, and they're also doing magic shows.
That's so cute. I love it.
And the mother said, oh, our son's having a birthday. Could they come to a party? How much would that cost? My mom's like, $35. So it's something that we did as a family, not necessarily thinking it was going to be a career.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot of lessons about performing and business and how to be professional at a very young age.
Yeah, no, that's
so
amazing.
it was a great learning process. It was also a fun way to make money.
Yeah.
So as I got older, when I was in high school and friends would have like a newspaper route or bag groceries for money, my brother and I would do shows with my dad.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's so much fun too. And I think it's like, it teaches you how to, produce a show. It teaches you how to like get that stage fright out of you too.
Absolutely.
And even for just like life in general. I mean, that's why we make kids do piano recitals and like public speech and get them used to being in front of people. But
they did a survey once, and they found out that people are more afraid of speaking in public than dying.
Yeah. You know what? I feel that sometimes.
I took a listen. I did a public speaking class in college, and I was so excited about it because I got to do a whole speech on Britney Spears,
and they had to listen.
Everyone had to listen.
A podcast now.
And I got an A, motherfuckers. I got an A.
That's so funny.
Hell yes.
That's funny.
But that's a main component of your job, being a bartender. Not only do you have to mix the drinks, but it's about engaging with the customer, keeping them there, having them try different things, keeping that rapport. I'm sure you have lots of people who come to the bar not knowing you're there, and then they're in town for 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
And I bet a lot of people come back a second or third time because they feel that connection. They feel a good vibe.
Actually, some of them do, which I think is kind of cool. Like, so some of my guests last week called me like they were like, when you go to a doctor and like you don't know what's wrong, but you don't know what to do, or you don't know what's wrong with you. So like the doctor tells you like, oh, here, let me help you. You trust your doctor.
Yeah.
You do that with your bartender too. Like if you don't know what you want to drink, what liquor, but like you don't know what to drink, you go to your bartender and you say, and they they're your doctor. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Jessica, what do you have for me today? And I'm like, oh, I never even looked at it this way.
Yes.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. No, and I think it's also just like I had a brain fart moment.
I don't know,
Sorry.
but you know what? The amount of times that like I've sent people to like carnival court,
Mhm.
and then they've come back and then just drop me $100 tip because they were like, okay, that was
a lot
the
of fun.
most fun I've had.
Vegas,
Like,
baby.
fuck yes, that was the best. And I'm like, cool. So yeah, and then I like make money off it. I don't care that my ex-boyfriend fucking works there. Like, I'm like, yeah, go see him. So then they'll turn around and come back. Yeah, right. Go see the Whippets. They're a great time. And then they'll come back and be like, okay, that was a lot of fun. Here's $100.
Yeah.
So my ex doesn't realize this, but I make money off of him.
Good.
Thanks.
Deserves it.
You know who you are.
Deserves it. So you were doing these little shows and everything. Were you doing them out throughout high school?
Yes, all throughout elementary school, all throughout high school.
That's
I
so
was
cool.
doing, anywhere from 1 to 3 shows on the weekends.
Wow.
So it was a way to bond with my family, but it was also a way to make money. And I was always very visual and good at puzzles growing up. So magic is something that came very easily to me because I would look at it as a puzzle. My dad would show me the trick, and as I got older, I would say, "Don't tell me the secret," and I would try to figure it out.
Oh, Penn and Teller moment.
Yes.
With the show, because they have a show that they try to figure out your trick.
Yes.
Anyways,
Isn't Holly going to be on that?
was
It
wasn't Anna.
Yes. Anna's been on it, and Holly's going to be on it this season.
Yeah.
Okay, we watch that show at home. So when you're doing these shows, are you also traveling at all, or are you just staying in New York?
So when I was younger, I stayed in New York. So we
Okay.
did a lot of birthday parties, corporate picnics,
Okay.
weddings,
Very
anything.
nice.
But then as I got older and went to college,
Mhm.
I performed shows in college. And then after college, I moved to LA. And then I moved with my roommate from college. We formed an act. And then for 4 years, we traveled the world performing
my
this
goodness.
act in this big rock and roll magic show.
Yeah. And
So-
that's you guys traveled the world. I think you were saying last time too, like a lot of Asian countries and a lot of.
Yes, we did. We got to perform for the Princess of Thailand.
That's what it was. I was like,
We got to perform 5 shows in Mahatma Gandhi Stadium in India. We got to perform in Peru. We got to perform in a lot of different places. I tell a lot of people that we don't realize it because our culture is so much about television.
Yeah.
Where there was a lot of times where in Europe, South America, or Asia, they didn't have as much television, as much options. So it was much more likely for you to go out at night to go to a bar and see people singing.
Yeah.
See a variety show.
That makes
like when I
sense.
worked in Malaysia, TV shut off at 10 o'clock. So there was no television on at all. So if you wanted to go out, karaoke was big, live entertainment, where in the U.S., we've always had television.
Yeah.
You stay home. Oh, let's not go out. Let's just stay in and watch something on TV.
Yeah.
So other parts of the world were much open to live
Magic
entertainment.
shows and it
But
sounds like it was
you'd
like a
be on a
magic
variety-
rock show. I mean,
Right, but you'd be on a variety show in Europe, and you'd
Yeah.
be a magician, a singer, a contortionist, a juggler.
oh wow.
But people would go out at night as opposed to staying in and watching TV.
Oh, that's really cool too. I mean, it's also really cool to see especially if their culture really like is based off of that. It's fun. Like, I imagine the inspiration you got from traveling and like seeing other performers and like,
Absolutely.
I mean, opening your eyes to things that you never like even imagined.
When we were in India and we would get interviewed doing press for the show in India, there was people that would say to us, when the girl gets in the box and you put the 8 blades in,
Yeah.
is she so hypnotized and in a trance she doesn't feel the blades going in her? Because a lot of people there believe that the magic is real.
Yeah.
And you have to say,
like,
it is entertainment.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Like, I don't know if you notice, like, when they do those tricks, it is always the skinniest person you've ever seen in your whole life.
Hammer. No.
Ham. Oh, shut up. Oh, my God. Hams.
Ham. Yeah, he's skinny guy. He's buff. But
can't.
So you were on the road a lot doing this show. What led to coming to Vegas? Like, what was like, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going?
So I was performing in a show in Atlantic City.
Oh.
And someone came up after the show and they said, why don't you have your own show? To my business partner and I. And we gave the typical response, which was, well, if we had money,
we would.
Which usually ends the conversation. This person said, what happens if you did have the money? So this person was from the business world, and he invested in our show. We put together a large-scale show in Atlantic City. 9 dancers, Broadway scenery. It was basically a Broadway show, but instead of using song to forward the story, we used magic.
Ooh.
So there weren't the typical magic props. We had
Yeah.
a prop with a mailbox, a park bench, a fire escape.
Oh.
So it was set New York 40s.
Yeah.
We wore bright color zoot suits. So when we were done with the show, we came out to Vegas and pitched the show in Vegas. And we pitched it to New York, because it was New York themed. At the time, Lord of the Dance was the night show.
Okay.
And we had a handshake deal with the president of the hotel to be the afternoon show. And at the 11th hour, Cirque du Soleil, who was very much on the rise at that point, said, we'll come in and spend $34 million, blow out the theater, and put in the first Cirque du Soleil topless show, which eventually became Zoomanity. So we lost that on that deal, and then the town started to change. So up to that point, most properties were buying a show. And then you'd reverse engineer how you pay for it.
Yeah.
We're going to book you for a year. We're going to pay you, I'll make up a number, $30,000 a week. Then you determine how much am I going to pay the dancers? How much money do I have to spend on props and sets? How much do I have left over?
Yeah.
Then when we got here in January of 2002, things changed and started going to a thing called a 4-wall, which is you got the 4 walls of the theater, and then you had to pay for everything. You pay for the bartender. You pay for the usher. You pay for the crew. You pay for the cast. So all the expense fell on you, including the advertising.
Ooh.
So the whole dichotomy and the whole, financial situation changed.
Yeah.
So it made it very difficult to book a show because you had to have the capital or have an investor behind you.
I see. And so now is that pretty much Vegas now still, or is there kind of a mix?
For a lot of smaller shows, it is like that.
Okay.
The bigger shows, like a Cirque du Soleil, they have a contract with the hotel. When they do a headlining gig, a Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, Katy Perry, she's getting a guarantee.
Yeah, of course.
Now, she might get a lower guarantee and then a percentage of the ticket sales.
Gotcha. Oh, I see. I see what you mean. Okay.
I heard that Jimmy Buffett, when he was touring, he got 110% of the door. So he got all the money plus 10% because the venue made so much money on booze.
You know what? I believe that.
Because booze is,
believe that.
if you've been to, even if you've been to a Golden Knights game or a Raiders game, it's no cash. And it's very expensive. And what do? You can't bring food in.
Yeah.
Actually, it's not that bad. Aces games weren't that bad.
Yeah,
we went to like one Aces game, and it wasn't that bad.
No, and I went to a Knights game recently. Okay, well, I should say it's not that bad compared to like if I'm going to Carnival Court, it's like the same price.
Okay, but like, no, because like when we went to the Aces game and I got like a margarita, like we each got like drinks. Anyway, it ended up being like cheaper than what we would have spent at Carnival Court.
That's true. But like I'd expect
that.
That
when you have food
there.
and then parking and everything else, it adds up.
The
parking wasn't that bad.
It was 50.
Yeah, but we split that. Yeah, we like Callie and I, like we pretty much like split everything. Like I got around, she got around, and it was like it was fine.
I'm very frugal with money, so I'm like,
but you know what? But you know what? Like, okay, going to an Aces game, sure, parking's $50, but like lately, like Golden Nugget, like $50 for parking.
Yeah, I mean,
so we're like, Callie and I are like, fuck it, we'll park the El Cortez for $10. Like,
exactly. Walk it.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, especially down there. What, as a show owner and as someone who has produced a bunch of shows, which I mean, obviously, which one do you prefer? Like, which style of like, do you prefer the money up front, or is it kind of nice to be able to spend the money and then make it back?
Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Because then it's easier to reverse engineer. If somebody says, here's $10, I know, okay, I can spend $5. I can have $2 in reserve in case something goes wrong.
Yeah,
and then
that's true.
That leaves me with $3, as opposed to you're gambling. Now, if you're a big enough name and if you have a good deal with the casino, I mean, I wish it would go to a 2-wall, which is the casino is invested in terms of they are paying for the advertising and marketing.
Yeah,
because in my opinion, then they have a vested interest.
Yeah.
As opposed to a lot of casinos now, different than up till the 80s, a lot of casinos are landlords.
Yeah.
So Omnia nightclub at Caesars, they're paying rent on that space.
Yeah.
So they get the Caesars gets a base fee.
Yeah.
And then if the club does really well, they get more money on top of it. But instead of them owning the club, and let's say there's a tornado in the Midwest and there's a flood and COVID hits, oh my God, we're losing money. No. If they're leasing out space to a celebrity chef, to a restaurant to stores in the mall, they know they're going to make at least a certain amount as opposed to taking the risk. I mean, back in the day, if you went to a place like the Hacienda, where Mandalay Bay is, you went to the steakhouse, the Mexican restaurant, the Italian restaurant,
the buffet.
maybe they had a cool name, but the hotel owned everything because they realized the real way to make the money is on the gambling.
Yeah.
You know, I tell people all the time, if you go to see, back in the day, you go to see Celine Dion at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
Let's say it's $200 a ticket. You get there half an hour early. The show's an hour and a half an hour to leave. So you spent $200 in 2.5 hours.
Yep.
If you were playing $25 a hand at blackjack, you'd probably lose that in 15 minutes.
Yep.
So I wish the casino would get back to the mentality of the way to make the real money is on the gaming.
And it also allows them to comp more too.
Well, okay, but question. So like if, say like a casino like takes over and they're like, they want to pay for a late night magic, right? Now late night magic is very raunchy and it's almost like anything goes. Like very adult. Like 21 and up is 21 and up for a reason.
Late night.
Have you ever seen it? There's a reason.
Yeah.
But like if late night magic was paid for by the casino, would the casino be like, you can't do this, you can't do that? So it's almost like,
so
if you pay for it, they can't say shit.
There's a balance there.
There's absolutely a balancing act. They might say you can't do these 3 bits. You can only say shit, but you can't say fuck. And if the price is right, unfortunately, I would cater it.
Yeah,
now, I mean,
I understand.
If I got called from a corporate booker and a corporate booker said to me, hey, we want it, it's going to be all adults, but you really got to, bring down the raunchy, I can do the show clean.
Yeah.
I will tell you, when you're in a room full of adults, we all say shit, fuck. So it's, I mean, yes, the show is a lot dirtier than that, but depending on the market, depending on the clientele, we can cater the show. One of the reasons why we've made the show so adult is because we're the only 21 and over adult magic show in town. So how do I separate myself from 13 other magic shows when there's some shows that are family friendly?
Yeah.
Well, that's good because if there's only 3 family friendly magic shows, if you have 2 kids, you're going to go see that because it's family friendly. My show, adults only.
Yeah.
Yes, Farrell's a great family friendly show.
No, absolutely.
Kimmel's.
You'll go see Farrell and then afterwards you leave the kids with grandma and grandpa. I don't know why they're here on Vegas vacation with you. And then you go see Late Night Magic.
Exactly.
So you started working with Murray.
Yes.
And how did that start? And then, I mean, you guys worked together for what, 15 years?
I love Murray. That dude is insane. That dude is fucking crazy. He's insane. He's insane.
His face brings
We
me
met
joy.
Years ago when we were both doing a magic convention in New Jersey for the final gala show. He opened the show, and my old business partner, we closed the show, and we just connected on the business level. I tell people until you get to a certain amount of recognition, until you make a certain amount of money, you have to do everything yourself.
Yeah.
Like right now, you've got the microphones, you're setting up the lighting, you're setting up the camera. If you guys hopefully soon get to a certain point, you'd have a person filming you.
Yeah.
You'd have a person setting up the lights.
We need sponsors. Ian Summerholder. If you're watching, Ian Summerholder, if you're watching, I drink a lot of your bourbon.
Listen,
a lot of it.
At this point, I just want working microphones. I mean, shit.
Fuck. Hold on, I got a horse soldier here too. They've actually responded to my videos. Like horse soldier is actually watching my videos. So either one of you, I don't care. It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
So you guys started working, and then did he invite you to his? Did he was it like a show that you guys both worked on, or like?
So we did this magic convention one night. We kept in touch, and for about 2 years, we passed gigs back and forth.
Okay.
So we were supposed to do a magic convention in Austria. Then we got booked to go to Thailand to perform for the Princess of Thailand. So we called Murray and said, "Hey,
I'm a little busy.
can you do this magic? Can you do this magic convention in Austria?" We passed gigs back and forth. We became friends, and then ironically, after we moved out to Vegas, my business partner and I, Murray came out 2 weeks later and had a show at the Frontier. So after the first 2 weeks, when they gave him a room for free, he said, "Hey, can I just crash on your futon?" Because my business partner was living with his girlfriend. He said, "Can I just crash on your futon for a couple weeks before my wife comes out and we buy a house and we stay in Vegas?"
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that marriage did not work out, and Murray slept on my couch on my futon for 8 years.
You know what?
Oh my gosh.
So when people always say,
8 years.
So when people say,
Bro, I slept on Callie's couch for 8 months, but like,
It's a little bit.
So when people say, oh, Murray's lucky, whatever, they don't understand the grind. They don't understand when he transitioned from just being a magician with a couple of funny jokes to a comedy magician.
Yeah.
He would drive 2 or 3 times a week to LA and do open mics.
Wow.
And
you know what?
he forced himself not to bring magic, to force himself to try to work on the comedy. So now he can do jokes and it's very comedy.
Yeah.
But people say, oh my God, he's gotten done so much TV. I go, if you knew how much TV he didn't get. So for every audition he gets, there's 10 to 20 he didn't get. So even though he did, had a great run on America's Got Talent, he's the magic expert on History Channel's Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
He's been on 23 reality shows. People don't understand. It is a constant grind to get to that point. It's not like the phone's ringing off the hook. He has to still call.
Yeah.
You hear stories of, oh, well, I really want it to be this movie, so I did it for scale. Oh my God, but you're an A-list actor. Yeah, but I really wanted to work with that director. And you have to keep working. You have to keep in the public eye.
Yeah.
Sometimes actors do shitty movies on purpose.
Hey.
Just,
I mean, listen.
Like Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. did Scooby-Doo because they were like, fuck it. We did it. We knew it wasn't going to be great, but we did it for our kids.
There was a lot of like actors in that I was like, you did this for your kids, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah, some people do that shit. Some people do that shit. Like, I am pretty sure Jason Momoa is doing... What's that? The Bratz movie or whatnot? Was it? Is it a Bratz movie?
Like that. I forgot what it is.
But he's probably doing it for the kids. It's probably not gonna be good, but like his
Jack Black is funny.
Whatever. Looks like he's funny. Whatever. People do shit for the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
it's for the kids. Right, Mark Shinuck.
Craft or something.
Minecraft. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Right, Mark Shinuck. Doing it for the kids. Doing it for the kids. Dude is doing WWE right now for the kids. For the kids.
That's great. Mark killing it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
You know what's so funny? Is Joy told me about that like 3 weeks before that announcement was made. Sometimes Joy and I don't always get along, but she's like, Jessica,
by the way,
something's gonna happen in the next few weeks. Like, you just wait. And I'm like,
what
the fuck?
I turned the TV on. It was like 3 a.m. and Top Rank Boxing was on from New York. And Mark came on. I was like, I'm watching you right now.
Oh no, dude! I turned on my TV the other day and fucking Vincent Adonolfi was on fucking my television, and I was like, "Are you serious right now?"
There's so many.
And then I posted it. I took a photo of him and I posted a picture. Everyone else commented on it like that the next day. 4 days later, Vin's like, "This is hilarious." I'm like, "You were just now seeing this post."
Funny.
So how did Late Night Magic start? Like, because Jessica's been around since Late Night
Magic.
Dude,
I have been around since the beginning. Actually, that is how I met Doug. Because so like during COVID, so I was working at Bally's, but Bally's was still kind of closed and I wasn't working just yet. So I threw in I see somewhere on the Vegas bartenders page that Alexis Park was hiring for cocktail servers. Yeah. And so my ass was like, fuck yeah, I got this. And so then I messaged Pete and I was like, hey, I am interested. And then he goes and looks at all my mutual friends, Doug being one of them, was like, yeah, come in for an interview. And so we sat down and he's like, you know everyone. And I'm like, yeah, I do. I fucking host this podcast. Yeah. And he's like, awesome, you're hired. And then I started working like that night. Like literally that fucking night. And then I made a crazy amount of money and my sales were super high. And that's when they found out like the other servers were like stealing. And they were like, oh, okay, understood. So I became their sole server and I was cocktailing 3 rooms at the same time. Oh, wow. All there were 3 shows going on and I was doing all of them all at once. Yeah. So I look at the other servers that were like having a hard time just doing even one room and I'm like, you guys don't know the struggle. And so then when like Late Night Magic was coming about, I was setting up the main room where they have like Motown and Elvis right now. I was helping to set up the main room and Doug walks in. Now Doug had been on my Facebook for a really long time. We hadn't actually met in person. Yeah. So then I so Doug's talking to Pete and I'm like, Doug, we've been friends for a really long time on the Facebook, but it's nice to finally fucking meet you in person. No, I have a couple of those friends in Vegas.
And was that, I mean, did you guys have a show there already, or
no? They hadn't started yet.
Oh.
So I was kind of like, no, sir, I'm setting up. Doug walks in, and I'm like you don't know this. I don't think I've ever told you this story, but like you walk in and you walk over to the speed, and I'm like, there's nobody here, but I'm like, is that fucking Doug? Actually, I think I texted you, and I'm like, I think Doug Leferovich just walked in the door. I think he just walked in, and then like after that, I was like, hi.
I do remember that. I remember that.
It's a really good first impression too.
Yes.
I mean, it's memorable, obviously. So what kind of brought you to make Late Night Magic, and like how did it form? And
so I got contacted by someone in town who I would say was a fan of magic and was a hobbyist. He had a real job, but he loved magic.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Michael Mayfield.
Yes.
Oh, I was like, so tell me after.
He had a concept of doing a show with a bunch of magicians who didn't have their own show. You know, if you haven't won America's Got Talent, or if you don't have a lot of money, it's very hard to get a room.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talented people who could do 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So his thought was, how can I get some people that are really talented together to do a show? So through a series of phone calls and emails, he brought me on to host the show. And then in typical fashion, I, as politely as possible, took over.
No, it happens. I did the same
Came
thing.
up with the name, came up with the logo. And ironically, the first place we did the show was at the Space with Mike Chanel. And then Joy was actually working at the Space at the time.
Oh, she was. Yeah.
So we did the show there.
Because that was like 5 years ago, 6 years.
Yes. So we did the show there 3 times. Then we did the show twice downtown at Notoriety.
Oh,
and then during
Notoriety.
COVID, we got the call to go to Alexis Park. And instead of doing it once a month, we were doing it 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah. It was like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yes. Yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, and how did you automatically know who you wanted to ask? Like, were you like, this show's for John Shaw, this show's for Holly, this show? I mean, because I know Holly wasn't a part of the original, but like, I'm just saying, like, you just knew in the top of your head.
I looked at what was going on in the entertainment scene.
Yeah.
I also looked at what was going on in the world. I had worked with a magician for many years named Mondre. He's an African-American magician that does a bird act.
Oh, yeah.
Produces birds and doves.
Yeah.
But
Rest
this
in peace.
was around the time of George Floyd, Black Lives Matter.
Ah, yes.
I had been contacted by someone who did a hypnosis show at the Paris, who
cool.
also was branching out into magic. Something comes up in the news, Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, how can I put together a show that reflects, you know, what's going on in the world and diversity? Instead, I mean, most magicians are white guys.
What?
Copperfield, Chris Angel, David Blaine, blah, 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 blah.
Chris Angel's white? What? He's Greek. I'm sorry.
The Greek bride. Being talented performers, having a more diverse show was a selling point.
Yeah,
so seeing someone African-American, seeing a woman in the show made our show once again different.
But you always need a hot chick because, like, Anna is so. Listen, I fucking love Anna.
Everyone loves a hot chick.
Like Anna came to see me a couple of times when I was working at Bally's. Like, she came in to like the showroom. I don't think she knew I was. I think because I mean, she like had tickets to like the show that was going on, but I always post where I'm at work. It's just something I do. And so like she came in and I was cocktailing and I was like, Anna, and she's like, Jessica, I came for you, and I was like, no, you didn't. But she's like, yeah, but I saw you were here too, so that's awesome. I love her, but I remember like one time, like, okay, I fucking love this cast so much, and I love like Anna like so much, and I miss you. But there was one time I was like going through some shit, and I was just kind of like, I remember like I was setting up, and I like for something, and I like walk by, like they were getting ready, and I walk by, and I was like, oh hey guys, and then Doug and Anna were both like, the fuck's wrong with you? Because I didn't say much. They're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? And then like Anna pulls me aside and she's like, Jessica, seriously, what's going on? And so like I was like, oh my god, it's so crazy how like you guys like know me so fucking well that if I don't talk about anything, it means like something's up. And I just fucking knew. So I love you guys so much. Yeah. You don't even know. Even John too. Like, the amount of times it's fucking hilarious.
Friend of the show too.
Like when Joe Tasso passed away, like may he rest in peace. That was my Vegas dad. But I actually John lives across the street, and I purposely moved across the street so in case shit goes down, I could be like, John, come save me. But when Joe died, he and I went to Joe's funeral. Yeah. So he came and picked me up, and we went. It was a whole thing, and like I was like crying my eyeballs out, and John's like, I got you, it's cool, like and it was so sad. Yeah. But the cast of Late Night Magic has kind of always. Holly was at our Wall of Fame ceremony, or our Wall of Honor ceremony. Like when we were Portnoy and we were inducted into the Wall of Honor, Holly was there for us then. So like every member of that show has kind of like touched us in one way or another.
Yeah. And also I know I've seen more of John Shaw's act. That's why I kind of always go back to him. But like I feel like he's such a great act, and the reaction that I get, even from my friends, are like, "Wait, John Shaw? You got to see his thing? Like that's so cool!" Like, so I mean, and he's been there since the beginning too. So it's like you just knew automatically.
Up front to set the tone and let people know this is not the typical magic show. I mean, I regard him as the best sideshow performer in the country. Yeah. And what he does is extremely real and dangerous. Yeah. But because of his personality, even though you look at him and you think he's going to be this mean devil person, he's a fun-loving guy, tells a lot of jokes. He's a teddy bear.
No, he really is. It's funny.
But what he does is shocking, and you can't see it anywhere else in Vegas.
No, it's true.
You know what I love about Late Night Magic, and I've said this like many, many a times, and I've even posted it as like part of my review, was like, I've seen the show so many times that I got to a point where when John goes on stage, I don't even watch what John's doing.
You just watch everyone else.
I watch everyone else. And that's my show at that point. Like, I'm like, okay, I know what's coming up. What are they going to do? And so as soon as John puts those hooks in his eyeballs, everyone's like, ah! And I'm like, this is fucking great.
I'm going to hold on.
Let me just watch this shit go down. Like, it's fantastic.
My husband's always like, I can do that. I'm like, no, I need you to stop. Actually, I need you to stop.
Like, then when Holly like gets the fish hooks, and she's like doing the thing, like the dangerous shit with the fish hooks. Watching everyone else, like I've been part of that part, like, because she'll like call me up and be like, Jessica from Reality Check is here. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm famous. And she'll announce me as that, not like the bartender from Kimmel's or not the bartender from Vic's. She's like, Reality Check, and I feel so cool and famous. But like, so she makes me part of it, but when she makes other people part of it, then I get to watch it, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm watching other people like freak out. And then so as somebody who went to a couple of different Eras Tour shows, everybody knows, like every Swiftie knows, but there are traditions throughout the Eras Tour, right? There are a lot of Eras Tour magic, right? So during Late Night Magic, one of the biggest traditions with Janaea is, and what's really funny is she always bakes them goodies. I don't have time for that. I also don't bake, so I'm sorry. But like, I got some illegally baked bars. I'm a bartender, so I got 1s and 5s, so it's fine. But so like, then what ended up happening was, at one point in the show, the middle of the show, like Doug starts doing this like dance to like Genuine. He's doing a dance to Pony, and at one point he like turns around, and so me and like he's just, I love it. It's so sexy. I love it. Anyway, so then I get my like dollar bills out, right? And I remember one time I was in the back because I tried to sneak in because I didn't want anybody to see me, and I was trying to surprise everybody because I got out of work early. Dude, I got out of work at Vic's at like 8 o'clock at night, and I was like, my ass is going straight to Late Night Magic. So I had like 1s and 5s, and I ran up, and we just threw dollar bills at Doug. And then at one point, me and Janae look at each other. We're like, let's fucking do it. And then we just shove money down his pants. Like, literally down his fucking pants. And it's great. It's become a tradition. It's a thing. It's what we do.
Now that it's a tradition, you obviously wear a G-string on stage, right?
Obviously.
Yeah, obviously. I feel like that's the next translation. Just
Obviously.
like always have it on, always in case.
I have it on right now, just in case. You never know.
Case. You never know when the money's going to come out. It is Vegas. So when these traditions start up, is it like, do crowds generally pick up on these things pretty quickly? Like, oh, that was funny with the money thing. And then like.
Or sometimes something will happen on accident, or something happens in the show that's so good.
Yeah.
Then as a performer, I need to figure out a way to recreate it every time. But then the key to being a good performer, in my opinion, is how do I make it seem like it's happening for the first time?
Yeah, for the audience.
I'm saying it, I'm giving that look like, uh-oh, this has never happened before, even though it has happened before, and I'm building upon it.
Yeah, I bet that's a real magic trick right there.
Absolutely.
The illusion of the first impression. So Late Night Magic was at New Orleans, but they're doing reconstruction on the venue, which is literally the name, the venue. So you guys are on a hiatus. What is the future of Late Night Magic?
We definitely want to move the show somewhere else, but I want to wait for a good opportunity that makes sense financially, and it's the right location, it's the right deal. We've been lucky enough to have a couple of people reach out to us, a couple of properties reach out to us, but I really want it to be the right fit.
Yeah.
I don't need to open within 2 weeks or a month or 6 months. I'd rather wait for the right opportunity and give it a shot.
Yeah.
And the cast agrees. So we're just waiting for the right opportunity, and hopefully we'll have that announcement soon.
So you don't want to start somewhere where you're like, okay, you're going to like, and it ends up only being like a year or 6 months, and then you have to find somewhere else.
Or
Like
4 months.
You want to make sure that like wherever you're going is going to be like, that's where you're at forever.
Well, you also don't want to close your options and then find out there's a better option within literally 5 minutes phone call or something crazy like that.
I agree
So
with
it's
you
like,
totally on that.
For how long have we talked to different like people about, hey, what do you got options? Like, what's your like, how much do you charge? What, just to see how much, everything is, because it's always nice to know, especially here in town.
Absolutely.
So what advice would you give? Okay, so there's a new magician. He wants to come to Vegas. He wants to take over the world. He's also really funny. I don't know what. This is just the person I'm talking about. Me. No, I'm joking. What advice would you give, like the 21-year-old that wants to make it in Vegas?
Go back to where you came from. No.
we full. Yeah, we full.
What I would say is, because Vegas can be very non-forgiving, I would try to start in a smaller market.
Okay.
So I would go to a Myrtle Beach. I would go to a Branson.
Okay.
I would go to Laughlin, Reno, Tahoe, and try to work out the kinks as much as possible, because it is true, you only get that first impression once.
Yeah.
You don't want to show up. It's a little rough around the edges. People come see the show when it first opens.
Yeah.
You get a bad review or two.
And it's done.
It's hard to recover.
Yeah.
As opposed to if you can work the kinks out in other markets, and then by the time you get to Vegas, it's in the best place it can be.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
And honestly, your show is so great for that. Because you know what I mean? Like, hey, I only got this much and I want to get my name out there, but like,
yes.
And
we've had people come in from out of town who say, oh, I'm in town for a week. Can I do 5 minutes? And I'm like, yeah, do 5 minutes in the show.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing too, is if you're a local, if you come to see our show, you might see a different magician and the cast might be different. So it's always changing and every show is different.
Yeah.
Ooh, question. Okay. So, Holly's doing her own thing, because she was doing, I think she's doing, she was working for Terry Fader, and then I think she was doing, Fool Me, I think, and then I think Fool Us or whatever.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's the Penn and Teller thing. And then then you got Natasha Lamb from The Conjurers, which I so fucking gotta see. I have to see The Conjurers. Again, 6:00 on a Saturday. I'm at Vic's making the monies. I'm never there. Eventually I will. In the off season or whatever. But when Late Night Magic like continues, like, are we gonna just like do we think that we're gonna like be like rotating like Holly and Natasha, or like are we gonna plan like I'm sure you probably can't answer that, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think we had a great experience with Holly and Natasha. I would definitely consider working with both of them, depending on schedules and availability. We could use one night, the other one another night, and there could be another night where we just have a dancer in the show.
Yeah.
So the nice thing about our show is similar to like a show like Absinthe, where unless you're friends with one of the acts, you're not going to see a particular act. You're going to see a great variety show.
Yeah.
So similar to our show, unless you're friends with John or friends with Bizarro and you're going specifically to see them, our goal is to put on a great late night magic show.
Yeah.
So we have the flexibility of changing the cast and changing the material in the show.
Well, and that's what you were saying last time too. The show is so great because you get the variety acts. Instead of you go in there, you realize the comedy's not your comedy style, the magic's not your magic style, or like, you know, it's just not your thing. But with your show, it's like, okay, John Shaw scares me, but like that was 15 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever it is, and you get to go on to the next.
But you know what I think, like what I love most about late night magic is like, okay, working at a comedy club, a lot of the comedians have the same, actually even dating a comedian, the same fucking jokes. You just hear the same fucking jokes. In fact,
Especially the one you dated.
In fact, I had some people in my bar the other day that had tickets to Delirious, and I was like, let me guess. And then I just named the lineup, and they were like, yeah, how'd you know? And I was like, fuck. Like, it's the same shit. It's the same shit.
Yeah,
and I'm like, I bet they're going to tell this joke, this joke, this joke.
Yeah.
This person's going to tell this joke. Sorry, like, I didn't mean to spoil it for you, but this is the same jokes that you've been hearing every single night. Whereas, like, you go to late night magic and shit's different it's the same, like, you have, like, the same lineup, but maybe not, you know, because you could get Holly, you could get Tasha. Yeah. Like, you don't know, you know, but also, like, it's a lot of crowd participation, so you don't actually know what's really going to happen. Yeah. So the show is different every single night.
Well,
so
that's nice.
I think it's what you're saying is it's very, you know, low-hanging fruit. Oh, well, I'm a girl and I'm going to talk about sex, or I'm going to talk about being a girl and it's not fair because I live in a man-dominated world, or whatever, where
vagina.
It's stereotypical, where there's a comedian I like a lot named Andrew Schultz. And when he tours in the U.S. and internationally, he and his team spend time researching the city he's going to, the country he's going to.
Yeah.
So I would say probably 30 to 40 minutes of his hour and a half is specific to that area.
Yeah.
So if he goes to Boston, he's doing Boston jokes that they'll get. Oh, well, you know, he'll make a joke about a guy in the front row being gay.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you're going to be hanging out at Lulu's because everybody knows the big gay club in Boston is Lulu's. So it might be a similar joke in the next city, but he's catering it specifically to that demographic and that market by changing, you know, specifically to that city. So
listen, I heard on the radio today, I was watching a drag queen and they were talking about, because she's been here forever, but she's like, I was on Flamingo in the Strip, and I was like, girl, I know where that was. Like, immediately when you say, like, when you put a specific, especially for locals and stuff, like, yeah, that would get me every time. I mean, every time that would get me. Like, it's funny.
Yeah, but, you know, like, and I think that, like, Matt Rife also is one of the, like, I love Andrew Schultz. He's one of my favorites, and I've been following him on TikTok, and his shit's great. Like, it's just, but like, so was like Matt Rife too, because I've seen him perform in other countries, and he's just like, he goes hard. Like, when I've seen him in like Dubai, he's like, you guys, and he'll make fun of fucking every dude in the he's like, yeah, I absolutely know. And I'm like, oh my God. So you can tell that he's done his research, Andrew Schultz, and then Nate Bargatze, I think. He's so fucking funny. The three of them I watch on TikTok all the time, and they clearly have done their research on like the crowd.
Area.
Yeah,
also,
that's
you get to a certain level of notoriety, and then you can do stories that are particular to you.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
If someone's telling a story about their girlfriend or their parents or their kids, it's going to be different than someone else's story because it happened to them.
Yeah. And I feel like you get more experience too when you're out and about traveling.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, do you have any more questions for Doug, Jessica?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you again for everything you do.
Let's give it up for the audio.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be so upset if Callie calls me in 10 minutes and goes,
listen, you'll never know, Doug. You just know the video won't post if the audio's all fucked up. There'll be some weird edited photo with like the award. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming back and doing this for us. We love you so much. Thank you.
So much.
Next week.
Yes. Oh God no. I mean, we love it, but God no. All right, well, that was our episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.